Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. And I wanted to welcome you, and we're going to go in a slightly different direction today. Today, I'm going to talk about the difference between artificial and authentic intelligence. And this might seem strange because I've been very public. I'm not a fan of artificial intelligence. And what I realized was that was a bit of a cognitive bias on my part. Yes, I'm well aware that Skynet may evolve one day and decide that it's self actualized and it wants to eliminate humanity. But in the meantime, I'm just one human trying to get along in the world. And I wanted to share a little bit of my thoughts on AI and why I'm looking at it and implementing it in my business. And I'll share with you a little bit about how I use it, and I'm going to share with you why I use it. But first of all, I want to share the big hurdle that I had. And what I saw out there in the marketplace was noise, lots and lots of noise. And I'm not being judgmental here, but literally any idiot with an idea came out and said, "Hey, look at me, look at me. I'm using AI and I'm making all this noise." And what I realized was garbage in, garbage out. So when somebody who is the ripe old age of 18 comes out and says, "I'm an expert at AI, watch my video, take my training, here's how you can make millions being an AI expert," my first question is, what's behind the curtain? Is this young expert in fact an expert? And have they in fact made millions from AI? And that's really truly the only reason I didn't get into AI was the noise just drove me crazy. And I'm not kidding. I actually joked that I was going to create an AI to shut the noise out. And quite by accident, I actually did that. So what I realized was that AI is just a tool to amplify the voice coming into it. So if you're a rookie and you're not really experienced at anything in life, especially the topic you're talking about, you're going to ask one or two questions, kind of like people do with Google. They take the first answer they get and go, "Ha, there's the answer." Now, I've got maturity, I've got some gray hair, I've earned every one of them. And what I realized was that the better the questions I ask and the more questions I ask, the better quality my output was. And the turning point for me was when I realized that I can create, I've written many books, and what I can do is I can pull my books in and I can use AI to polish the book and help with grammar and maybe change word tone. It's really amazing what you can do with your own content. And the key here I want to stress is it's my content and I understand it well. So last time I counted, I think I've written and published about 30 books. Well, let's be honest, I've written 30 books. I can't remember if I've published them all. That will be a project for me in AI in the new year, is to make sure all my books I've written have been published. But what I don't have time to do is go back to the first book and check the tone and make sure that my brand is consistent, my verbiage is consistent, my core message is consistent. And that's the cool thing. I've evolved over time. I've got different ideas. I've got more clarity on some ideas. So one of the things I'm doing is I've uploaded all of my books that I've written and into my chat GPT, and I've asked GPT to share what the common themes are. It shares consistencies, inconsistencies, and basically I'm using GPT as a really advanced editor, because I don't know about you, but I don't have the headspace to hold 30 books and try to remember the language and the themes throughout each book. So I'm using it first and foremost to polish the existing material I have. Now, I want to stress this is my content. I wrote it. I am polishing it. Now, this is where it gets magical. If you happen to be an author or if you've created some content, I can now easily, with a couple of good, solid prompts, I can turn my book into a workshop. I can turn it into a 15-minute signature talk. I can turn it into a 3-hour workshop, a 60-minute webinar. I've got a 90-minute workshop. I've got an 8-hour workshop. And I've also managed to create workbooks for the workshops. I've created show notes or just summary notes for high level, and I can also turn that into journals. So, with a little bit of care, and once you understand the prompts and how they work, artificial intelligence can really become what I call authentic intelligence, which is amplifying the intelligence of the expert and helping you share your message. Now, the other thing I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to make content for social media. I don't like posting on social media. The cool thing is, I can take any book that I've written and I can create 30, 60, 90-day social media plans. And it's based on my words. Again, I'm the final say, so I tweak it and expand it. But basically, at the end of the day, it can turn my books into social media posts to help me grow my business. Now, the last one, and this was a really fun, actually, there's two more things. Um, I love masterminds. For those of you who know me, I am part of many, I host many. I just love being around masterminds because I love the thinking that goes with it. I can turn one of my books with a couple of prompts, and this is through experience, so I'm not saying you'll do it first time around. But I can turn my books into a year, 2-year, or 3-year mastermind program where take people from new to the topic all the way up to mastery of the skill by the end of the 3rd year. So, masterminds is one of my favorite things. That's a great tool if you use, and I'll talk about which version of GPT next. Um, but the other thing is you can polish things. You can bring in experts from other areas and you can say, well, what could I do to apply this? How could I apply, Socratic questioning? How could I apply the scientific method? But if you've got great content, and again, I stress this, you're an expert, you know what you're doing, you can create all kinds of wonderful things. I also create content that is eligible for continuing professional education credits for CPAs. But here's the beautiful thing, if you're a podcaster, you can polish podcast notes, you can create all the things you need to do to make your notes sing and do all kinds of wonderful things, and you can really eliminate a lot of the manual labor. Now, the last thing, you want to figure out social, how GPT can help you. And I want to tell you, this is no insult to children who have crayons up their nose, but the version of sorry, Chat GPT version 3.5, every now and then it seems like it's got a bit of a distraction, and it's kind of like that kid who shoves a crayon up his nose when you don't watch him. You need to be on top of it and make sure it's paying attention to you. Now, I use the paid version, which for a whopping $20 US a month, I get version 4.0. And I have to say, it's the difference between having a conversation with 3.5, the kid with a crayon up its nose, and a grown up. So if you're looking to do big things with your business, I highly recommend the investment of 20 bucks. If you can't get into the chat GPT world at $20 US, there's a site called poe.com, POE. And if you go in there, it includes GPT and a whole bunch of other things for about $28 a month. Now, I will say the one last thing that gets me really excited, I am up here. I love having strategic conversations. Literally feel physical pain if somebody wants to ask me what's the next step. That is the worst question you can ask. My head will explode. I don't want to get into the weeds. I don't want to be the person on the ground doing. I like to be up at the strategic level, and that's my unique ability. Thank you, Dan Sullivan, for those words. my unique ability is to be strategic. So what's really cool is if you have a really high level idea, you can share it at the high level. I call it the 30,000 foot view. And then with GPT, I can say, please translate this. And this is through experience, and I've learned how to do it. I could say, please translate this to the 10,000 foot level. And what that does is it takes it from the pure strategy down to the manager level at the 10,000 foot so that they can do the management things they need to do. And then from the 10,000 foot level, it takes it down to the 1,000 foot level so that line managers can actually manage and start to build systems and processes and things like that. And then the cool part is if you know what you're doing and you know how to create processes, it can take it down to the ground level so the people who have boots on the ground, the ones who actually do the work, have detailed processes where checklists, templates, etc. And that is what I love about artificial intelligence. If you know what you're doing, it really enhances authentic intelligence. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.